They thought I didn't know. For 2 years, my wife Sarah and my best friend Marcus played me like a fool. Every late night work meeting, every guy's weekend, he cancelled on me. Every time she came home smelling like his cologne, I knew. And while they were busy destroying my life, I was quietly building their destruction. This is the story of how I made them both lose everything they ever cared about. And trust me, they never saw it coming. 10 years, that is how long Sarah and I had been together, high school sweethearts, turned college lovers, turned married couple with a beautiful house in the suburbs. She was a marketing director at a tech startup. I ran my own consulting firm. We had the picture perfect life everyone envied, and Marcus. He wasn't just my best friend. He was my brother. We'd known each other since we were 7 years old. He was my best man at my wedding. I was there when his father died. We'd built businesses together, traveled together, trusted each other with everything. The three of us were inseparable. Sarah always joked that Marcus was like her annoying third wheel. I remember her laughing, saying, "It's like I married two men." God, the irony makes me sick now. It started about 2 years ago. Small things at first. Sarah began working out more, buying new lingerie that I never got to see her wear. She'd shower as soon as she got home from work. Even before saying hello, her phone was suddenly password protected. For work security, she said. Marcus started acting weird too. He'd avoid eye contact when we hung out, cancel plans at the last minute. And the weirdest part, he stopped talking about women completely. Marcus, the guy who always had a story about some date gone wrong, suddenly had nothing to say. I am not an idiot. I had my suspicions, but I loved them both so much that I convinced myself I was being paranoid, insecure. What kind of man suspects his wife and best friend, right? Then came the night that changed everything. It was our anniversary, 10 years together, 7 years married. Section. Zuwan and HT1.PRFCT life WBRUTL Betrayal planned this elaborate surprise. A weekend getaway to the cabin where I proposed to her. Left work early, stopped by her office with flowers, ready to sweep her off to a romantic evening. Her assistant told me she'd left an hour ago for an off-site meeting. Something in my gut twisted. I called Marcus, straight to voicemail. I drove home, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. The house was empty. Our bedroom, our bedroom. There was a wine glass on the nightstand, men's cologne in the air, not mine, and a tay draped over the chair. Marcus's tie, the one I'd given him for his birthday. I stood there in the doorway, flowers still in my hand, and something inside me just broke, then rebuilt itself into something colder. Harder. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I sat down on our bed and I made a decision. I pulled out my laptop and started searching. How to catch a cheating spouse. I felt pathetic typing those words, but the patheticness turned to rage, turned to clarity. I hired a private investigator that night. Cost me $3,000 up front. Be thorough. Told him I need everything. 1 week later, he sent me a folder. Photos, videos, receipts, hotel records, 2 years worth of evidence. My wife and my best friend tangled together in bed, laughing over dinner at restaurants we used to go to, his hand on her lower back at a company party while I was standing 20 feet away, oblivious. There was even a video from his apartment. She was wearing the lingerie I'd never seen, dancing for him, telling him she loved him, telling him she was going to leave me soon, that she just needed to figure out the finances first. I watched that video 3 times. Each time I felt less, like my emotions were being scooped out with a spoon until there was nothing left but cold, calculated purpose. They didn't love each other. I could see it. This was excitement, forbidden fruit. They got off on the betrayal, on the lies, on fooling the knave husband. Fine. Let's see how they handle being the fools. I didn't confront them. That was what they'd expect. Some big dramatic scene, tears, shouting, maybe a punch. Then what? Divorce, split assets, they ride off into the sunset together, and I am left looking like the bitter ex-husband. No. I wanted them to hurt the way I hurt. I wanted them to lose everything. So I smiled, I laughed. I played the perfect, clueless husband and best friend, and in the shadows I planned First, I needed to secure myself. I met with a divorce attorney, the best one in the state. She was expensive, but when I showed her the evidence, her eyes lit up. With this, she said, tapping the folder, we can destroy her in court. Infidelity, we can argue for a larger share of assets. And if she tries anything, I do not want to destroy her in court. I interrupted. I want something better. I explained my plan. The attorney raised an eyebrow, smiled, and said, "You're diabolical. I like it." Next, I looked into Marcus's business. He ran a small marketing agency built on the back of clients I'd referred to him over the years. I'd introduced him to at least 60% of his current client base. We had a gentleman's agreement. I help him grow. He gives me referral fees for my consulting work. But here is the thing about gentlemen's agreements. They are not legally binding. I started reaching out to his clients. Casual conversations at first. Hey, how's Marcus treating you? Getting good results? Most were happy. Some not so much. A few had complaints about missed deadlines, poor communication, rising costs. I fanned those flames. Gently, subtly. I might know someone who could help you out if you're forever looking for alternatives. No pressure, just want to make sure you're taken care of. Within 3 weeks, 4 of his biggest clients reached out to me, asking for recommendations. I recommended my own consulting firm for 2 of them, and competitors for the others, just to spread the damage. Then came Sarah's job. She was a marketing director at a tech startup called NovaWave E. They were about to go through a major funding round, Series B, 0 million. Sarah had been working on the pitch deck for months. Here is what she didn't know. I'd consulted for NovaWave 2 years ago when they were just getting started. I still had connections on the board, including the CEO David Chen, who owed me a favor after I helped him navigate a brutal lawsuit. I called David for lunch, casual, friendly. "How's Sarah doing?" I asked. "She's been working crazy hours on the Series B." "She's brilliant," David said. "Honestly, she's a huge part of why investors are even listening to us." I nodded, sipping my coffee. "Well then, carefully, can I be honest with you about something, man to man?" His expression shifted. "Of course." "Sarah's been going through something. I don't know all the details, but there's been a lot of stress at home. Personal stuff. I am worried it might affect her work soon, and I know how critical this funding round is. I just wanted to give you a heads up, as a friend." I didn't say she was cheating. I didn't have to. I planted the seed of doubt, and made him question her stability, her focus, her reliability. Lou, in the startup world, that's all it takes. David thanked me for the heads up, and promised to keep an eye on things. 2 weeks later, Sarah came home furious. "They too are micromanaging me," she vented. "David is questioning every decision I make. It's like he doesn't trust me anymore." I held her, stroked her hair. "That is so unfair, baby. You work so hard. They don't deserve you." She cried into my shoulder. Meanwhile, she had a hickey on her collarbone from Marcus, where Shade covered it with makeup, but I could still see the faint outline. I felt nothing. The final piece of my plan was the most dangerous. I needed Marcus and Sarah to think they were safe. That I suspected nothing. So I did something insane. I threw a party. Just because. I told them. Life is too short not to celebrate the people we love. Marcus tried to decline. "I'm swamped with work, man. Come on." I insisted. "You for my best friend." "It won't be the same without you." Sarah looked nervous but smiled. That sounds lovely, honey." The party was perfect. Friends, laughter, music. I gave a toast halfway through the night. To Sarah, I said, raising my glass, "The love of my life, my partner through everything. I don't know what I'd do without you." Her eyes misted. She kissed me in front of everyone. And to Marcus, I continued, "My brother from another mother. The most loyal friend a guy could ask for." Marcus looked like he might throw up, but he clinked his glass against mine. I saw them exchange a glance across the room. Guilt. Relief. They thought I was clueless. They thought they'd gotten away with it. Perfect. 3 months after the party, everything was in place. My lawyer had the divorce papers ready. Marcus had lost 6 clients. Sarah was on thin ice at work, and I had one final move to make. I scheduled a business trip, a week-long conference in Chicago. I told Sarah, told Marcus, posted about it on social media. They both seemed thrilled to have me out of town. I went to the airport, checked in, went through security, then walked right back out, got in my car, and drove to a hotel 15 minutes from our house. The PI had installed cameras in Marcus's apartment weeks ago. Not illegal. Marcus had given me a spare key years ago for emergencies, and I'd never returned it. The cameras were hidden high quality, live streaming to my laptop. That first night, they were there within 2 hours of my flight taking off. I watched them on my laptop screen, drinking wine, laughing, kissing. She wore the red dress he'd bought her for Christmas. He wore the watch I'd given him for his 30th birthday. Then they started talking, really talking. I can't do this much longer, Sarah said. I feel so guilty. No, Marcus replied. But we'd have made it this far, just a little longer, and you will be free. What if he finds out? Marcus laughed. He won't. Hade's too trusting, too busy with work. He has no idea. Sarah giggled. God, that party. When he toasted us, I almost lost it. I know. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. But we pulled it off. They kissed, deeply. Then she said something that made my blood freeze. I think I'm going to file for divorce next month. I'd'll say we grew apart. Head'll be sad, but Hev will get over it. Then we can finally be together for real. What about the money? Marcus asked. I've been moving funds into a separate account. He doesn't pay attention to the finances. I'll take what I need, leave me enough that he won't fight it, and then we start fresh. And Marcus grinned. God, I love you. You for so smart. I closed the laptop, took a deep breath, and smiled. The next day I returned from my trip early. Conference got cancelled. I told Sarah. Some scheduling issue. She looked panicked for a split second, then recovered. Oh, that's too bad, honey. But I am glad you got home, you? Me too, I said, kissing her forehead. Hey, I was thinking, why don't we have Marcus over for dinner this weekend? Just the 3 of us, like old times? And she hesitated. Sure. That sounds nice. That dinner was the performance of my life. I laughed at Marcus's jokes. I held Sarah's hand. I poured wine and talked about the future. Our future, me and Sarah. You know, I said, looking at her, I've been thinking. Maybe it is time we start trying for kids. What do you think? Sarah choked on her wine. Marcus went pale. We can talk about that later, she stammered. No, sure, I said easily. No rush. After dinner, Marcus left quickly. Sarah went upstairs to take a bath. I sat alone in the dining room, staring at the wedding photo on the wall. Tomorrow it all ended. The next morning, I woke up early. Sarah was still asleep. I went downstairs, made coffee, and waited. At 8 a.m., the doorbell rang. Sarah came down in her robe, confused. Who could that be? I'll get it, I said. It was a process server. Sarah Mitchell, he asked. She frowned. Yes! He handed her an envelope. You have been served. Her face went white as she opened the divorce papers. What is this? I stood in the doorway, sipping my coffee. It's over. Sarah? What? No, we can talk about this, whatever you think. I know about Marcus, I said calmly. I've known for months. The blood drained from her face. I can explain. You don't need to explain. I have videos, photos, 2 years worth of evidence. Every lie, every hotel, every time you came home and kissed me with his taste still on your lips. She started crying. Please, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. You made a choice, I corrected. Every day for 2 years, you chose to betray me, so I made a choice too. While I walked to the door, you have until this afternoon to pack your essentials. Anything else, my lawyer will handle. Oh, and about that separate account you've been funneling money into, my lawyer already flagged it. You're not getting a penny more than what's fair. But you can't do this! When I looked at her, really looked at her, with the woman I'd loved for 10 years, when I felt nothing, I already did. Or I drove to Marcus's office. Lou, his receptionist tried to stop me, but I walked right past her into his office, where he looked up from his computer, annoyed. Then he saw my face. Hey man, what is? Or I threw a folder on his desk. Congratulations, you destroyed a 10-year friendship for a woman who was using you. Well, he opened the folder of photos of him and Sarah. Lo, his face crumbled. How did you? I am not an idiot, Marcus. I've known for months. And while you two were playing house, I was burning down everything you built. What are you talking about? Your clients. The ones who suddenly left. That was me. I referred them to you, and I took them away. Your reputation in this industry, built on my connections. And now everyone knows what kind of man you really are. I leaned forward. You didn't just betray me. You destroyed yourself. Sarah, he's getting divorced. You are losing your business. And for what? A few stolen moments with someone else's wife. His hands were shaking. Sorry, I never meant for. You never meant to get caught, I interrupted. There's a difference. I walked to the door, then turned back. By the way, Sarah's already blaming you. Told my lawyer you pursued her, that she tried to end it multiple times. She's saving herself, Marcus, just like she always planned to. The look on his face. Betrayal, shock, devastation was the same look I'd worn when I found his tie in my bedroom. Poetic justice. 6 months later, the dust had settled. Sarah lost her job at NovaWhale. Turns out, when your personal life implodes right before a major funding round, companies don't love the distraction. She moved back in with her parents. Last I heard, she's working retail and trying to find herself. Marcus's business collapsed. He lost 70% of his clients in 3 months. He tried to rebuild, but word got around. People talk in our industry. Nobody wants to work with someone who betrayed their best friend. He sold what was left of his agency for pennies and moved to another state. They don't talk anymore, by the way. Sarah blamed Marcus for everything. Marcus blamed Sarah. Funny how that works. They were so united when they were betraying me, but the moment consequences hit, they turned on each other like rabid dogs. Me. I got to keep the house. The business thrived. Turns out people respect a man who handles betrayal with dignity instead of violence. I'm dating again. Nothing serious yet, but I am in no rush. Some people might say I went too far, that I was cruel, that revenge doesn't fix the pain. And they were right. It doesn't fix it. But it does something better. It proves that actions have consequences, that betrayal doesn't go unpunished, that the people who destroy your life don't get to ride off into the sunset while you suffer. I don't regret a single move I made. Every email, every phone call, every calculated step was justice served cold. Sarah and Marcus thought they could have their cake and eat it too. They thought love, or whatever twisted thing they had, would conquer all. They were wrong. In the end, they didn't just lose me. They lost everything. Their careers, their reputations, their future together, their self-respect. And me, I learned that the best revenge isn't violence or screaming or public humiliation. The best revenge is letting them destroy themselves while you smile and walk away. If this story taught you anything, it teased that silence is sometimes the most powerful weapon. If you've ever been betrayed, lied to, or played for a fool, drop a comment below. Let's talk about how you got through it. And if you know someone who needs to hear this story, someone who's going through a betrayal right now, share this video with them. Sometimes knowing you're not alone is the first step to rebuilding. Hit that like button if you believe in karma, subscribe if you want more real stories about betrayal, revenge, and redemption, and remember, they might have won the battle, but you will win the war. Oh, until next time, stay strong, and never let them see you break.